Hello friends, Tanya here for Spellbinders, and today we have a new release called Toolbox Essentials by Nancy McCabe. They are fantastic. This is the All the Tools die set, and it has layering dies to create all of these awesome different tools. And if you have ever tried to find masculine themed stamps and dies, you know that they are hard to find. So if you make cards for anyone who is tool crafty or who is masculine, if you make masculine cards that are tool oriented, I would tell you to jump on these as soon as you see them. And if they're out of stock, make sure you put your information in for notification for when they come back in stock, because these are winners. I'm telling you, these are awesome. I've die cut all of the different components of these tools, and I'm assembling them so you can see how they go together. This is the ruler or yardstick, and I decided to go pretty neutral with all of mine. So this isn't like a bright color. You know, you can find rulers in just about any color you want, even yardsticks. And in my experience, tools tend to be fairly brightly colored so that you can find them in the mess of construction. There's different colors that are different brands, but I don't tend to be too concerned about that part. I just want something that's going to work well for me. This, I've heard other people call this a scissor. I'm pretty sure this is a tin snips. And yes, I have used tin snips in crafting. Believe it or not. I've also used them for construction type things. I came from a very crafty family. I grew up on a small farm, and my dad is now a contractor, and we had a turn of the century farmhouse. That's what we lived in, and my dad remodeled that endlessly. So yeah, from an early age, I was exposed to construction. And I think I was 7 years old when I was running heavy machinery in our shop. Yeah. Child labor for real, but that's okay. I really enjoyed it. I have fond memories of it. It was working with my dad in the wood shop, creating all kinds of things, lawn furniture, and fishing stools, shelves for walls, knickknack shelves, bookshelves, great big lawn swings, picnic tables, just constructing things around the house. He had actually taken all the plaster and lath off the walls in the lower levels of the house, in the main level of the house, and we put sheetrock up and we painted all of that. Lots and lots and lots of construction, lots of fence mending. We did so many things that most people would think nowadays are not age appropriate for the ages that I did them. I was actually helping my dad castrate baby pigs when I was 7 years old. Yeah, that was, it explains why I'm comfortable being an ER nurse. I've always been doing medical related things from a very young age. I actually wanted to be a veterinarian, not a nurse. However, I had my kids all very young, and yeah, that kind of put the kibosh on going to college when I had 3 small children for that length of time. Wow, I sure nattered on for a long time about my childhood, but tools really do bring that back to me. Tools to me are an essential part of any household because you always need to be fixing something. And I think that everyone should know the basics of how to assemble and repair your furniture, your home, simple things that we can all do ourselves. Now, each of these tools has at least 2 pieces. Most of them only have 2 pieces. Some of them have 3 or 4, and they're actually very easy to assemble. I had a great time putting these together. There are all of the different tools that come in this die set. And now it's time to move on to the Glimmer foil plate. This is called Nailed It. There's 2 pieces in this Glimmer foil set. There's this row of tools, And then there is the sentiment that says, nailed it. I have some white cardstock here. This is some Hammermill cardstock, 80 pound. And I could have used the Spellbinders specialty cardstock. That will give you the best glimmer results of any paper I have seen. However, the Hammermill smooth white cardstock does a good job too. Now I started with a half sheet of cardstock, which is 8.5 by 5.5 inches, and I'm going to foil this 3 times down the entire length of this piece of cardstock because I want to make a 5x7 card with this. I'm actually going to do more than that with this one sheet of foiled cardstock. You can definitely easily do this on a larger than you need piece of cardstock, and it is even easier when you use the hinge method. Here I only used tape on one side, and you can see that I do have to have a couple of pieces of cardstock in there to shim my machine. That is all dependent on your particular machine. Here is the last row, and I'm carefully making sure that I'm not putting the tape over any of the other previously foiled images. And that is our completed foiling. Next, I'm going to take some Copic or alcohol markers here. I think this is N3, so neutral gray 3, and I'm using that to do any of the metal parts. I've got the hammerhead, the blade of the saw, the pliers tip, the entire monkey wrench, and I have 2 different grays I'm going to use. So I chose to do the raised part of the drill bit with the lighter gray and the lower part of the drill bit in a darker gray, an N5. We're going to make this level yellow, and I'm using this yellow green, which is like a limey green, for the level part, the little bubble part, and a little red for the bubble that you actually use for leveling. The pliers are getting a red handle, and the saw is getting a green or a yellow-green color. And I'm just using the same colors over and over throughout all of these tools. I think that brightly colored tools are fun, and it helps identify yours from your neighbors. Next, we're going to play with the Lost Shadow ink, Distress ink. This is a very pale gray, and I just needed to take the harshness of the white off of this cardstock. I did not want this to be a dark cardstock. I wanted this to just very lightly be gray, be in the background. I thought it was just a little too much contrast with the white for what I was planning to do. Actually, to be honest, I made this panel and hadn't ink blended it yet. I just had to leave it sit on my desk for a day or two before I had some ideas start to flow. Next, we're going to take the same Glimmer foil plate and we're going to do some debossing. I've got the universal platform system, and I used the directions on the platform system to determine what sandwich to use to create this debossing. And I'm using the Lunar Gray Spellbinders cardstock to do that debossed part on. And that is a nice 100 pound cardstock. So it's a very good weight for this. It doesn't push too deeply so that it doesn't push through the cardstock. I have trimmed all of these pieces, both the glimmered and the debossed pieces, down to 4.5 by 6.5. And then I took a die that I used for the matting, the cutting out of the rectangle. I turned it on its side and layered those 2 pieces of cardstock together, just laid them together, and ran them through the die cut machine at the same time to get 2 sections out of each panel. And then I'm just matching them up on another piece of cardstock that was cut with the same die so that they line up perfectly and create a completed front panel. I am using my one of my scoring platforms to help line those up. This is the stamp set in this suite of products. This is called A Cut Above the Rest. There are several awesome tool-oriented sentiments on this stamp set. I did not happen to get this stamp set. There's also a couple of really cute dies that go with this. I have been collecting masculine and tool themed stamp sets for a long time. So I dug through my stash of tool themed stamp sets and found sentiments that are nearly identical or identical to the sentiments that I have found in the Toolbox Essentials suite or collection. I stamped them on black cardstock and heat embossed them with white embossing powder. I did stamp them with white pigment ink, and then used the white heat emboss powder over the top. Then I took the the precision layering mini slimline dies and die cut all of those sentiments, and now I'm layering them on the card fronts with some of the assembled tools that we created earlier. Of course, I want to have some of those tools on the insides of our cards also. I'm making 2 cards with a similar layout with the pieces that we've created, and I'm currently trying to find a good place to put this sentiment. Almost done there. And that's card number 1. Card number 2, we're just going to flip where the gray and the glimmered parts are. So we've got the gray on the top now, and I'm going to use the paint themed, like the paint roller and the paint brush with a different sentiment on the front here. And I've just crisscrossed those a little bit. I did do some layering of extra cardstock behind the larger portions of those tools. And I'm adding those to the front of the card, getting them placed the way I want them, and then using some press and seal to pick them up so I can add some glue and then just position the entire grouping just where I want them. I do really enjoy using press and seal for planning my cards. I've been doing this for a couple, 2-3 years now, and I keep using the same pieces of press and seal over and over again. My workspace is actually a converted china hutch. I've made it into a standing desk, so there's a big mirror in front of me, which helps reflect some of the light for my recording. And it also is a great place to put pieces of tape and pieces of press and seal. So I have pieces of tape stuck all over my mirror so that I can reuse them whenever I need to until they get too worn out, and then I have to throw them away. That is the inside of card number 2. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really had a lot of fun playing with all of the tool related things. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do that now. If you're interested in any of the supplies that I used today, check that description box below. They will be listed and linked there as always. And until next time, here are a couple more videos I thought you might enjoy. Bye-bye.